Hey, what's up, guys? It's John back into the video. I know it's been a long time, but we're back. And this video is actually going to be a pretty important one. It's Carson Wentz it's the Carson Wentz trade. So pretty much from what I understand from this trade, we're going to watch a video getting into specific details. But what I understand from this trade is Carson Wentz is going to the Indianapolis Colts for a conditional second round pick of 2022 and and then a third round pick for this year. So pretty much, I honestly like. I don't I don't know every detail about the thing, but I feel like the major reason that the Eagles did this is because they knew that they weren't going to start Carson Wentz, so there was really no point in keeping him. So they pretty much just freed up a ton of cap space, but they're going to have a lot of dead cap this year, so they're not going to be able to do anything with that. But next year I think they're going to free up like 15 mil or something like that, I didn't get specific details, but I mean, this I think we all knew was coming, but I didn't know exactly what the package was going to be, whether it was going to be because I thought they were probably gonna trade like a player, probably was in it, but I forgot the Colts had so much cap room that they don't even need to trade any money off their contract. Off their team, they could literally just keep everyone on their team and get Carson Wentz on. He got like $70 million in cap space. So let's watch the video.
Got to this point, how'd the deal get done?
Well, Sage, the Colts and the Eagles were in discussions for the last 3 weeks. I think really from the day after.
Sorry about the
got traded from Los Angeles.
quality. It's
Matthew
trash.
Stafford went from Detroit to Los Angeles. The talks heated up at that moment and really have been going on for 19 straight days. And they were at the brink of the deal the whole time, but it was only until today that the Eagles finally signed off on the agreement that will send a third-round pick.
So the Eagles are pretty hesitant about it. I'm not surprised. I mean, this is a pretty big trade because
Next year that could become
who do you want to keep? Do you want to keep Carson Wentz or do you want to keep Jalen Hurts?
Eagles from the Colts. Each side gets what it wants, right? Carson Wentz wanted out of Philadelphia. Did not want to be back there. The Colts wanted Carson Wentz to work with Frank Reich, their head coach, who was his former offensive coordinator in Philadelphia.
It's pretty atrocious, man. Yeah, 16 TDs and 15 receptions, bro. I mean, the one thing I will say is I feel like Wentz, they could have waited a little bit longer to trade him because I feel like the Eagles lowered his value to complete zero, like the absolute least amount that it could possibly be, and they just because he had a horrible season, and then they benched him, and he literally just said that he wanted out. That is you lowered his value to the lowest possible it could possibly get. So I feel like they could have played him probably like a couple of games next season, got his value up a little bit more, and then they probably could have gotten like a better pick or could have gotten that first without that condition on it. So honestly, I feel like the Eagles could have waited a little bit longer, but overall, I still think it's a good trade for both sides. On the contrary to what a lot of people are saying.
The trade gets done because Frank Reich believes that he can salvage Carson.
Yeah, but Frank Reich is a great trade for him because he obviously played with Carson Wentz.
Getting the picks in return, and that's exactly what unfolded here with the Eagles now obviously having to eat some dead cap money, but not having to pay the roster bonus that's due next month of about $10 million. So
dang,
all sorts of
they say $10 million, okay.
And it's a continuation of the off-season quarterback movement that we've been expecting. We've now seen the first and second overall picks from the 2000.
That's crazy. Yeah, we see the 2017 first, second. That's crazy.
Now Carson Wentz.
They both got traded.
The Eagles now have Jalen Hurts as their quarterback, but I think that they'll be looking to bring in competition of some sort. I don't think they're automatically just going to hand the job to Jalen Hurts and say, you are the guy here moving forward.
I actually think they're going to do that, personally. I think Jalen Hurts played pretty well last season, considering he had almost zero weapons.
This trade that was agreed to just a short time ago.
Adam, a lot to get to there, and we're going to have Louis Riddick join us in a second as well, but 19 straight days of talks back and forth. That's almost 3 weeks. What was the key, the icing on the cake for everybody to give this the green light?
I think in the end, ultimately, the Eagles wanted to make sure they were getting as much as they could in return for Carson Wentz. And they spoke to a number
Makes sense, yeah. I mean, y'all lowered his value so much.
To see what the price would be for Carson Wentz, but ultimately, the match that made the most sense was Carson Wentz in Indianapolis. And I think Matthew Stafford helped drive his trade to Los Angeles. And I don't want to say Carson Wentz did that here because it wasn't as forceful as Stafford was. But in this particular case, I think Carson Wentz really did want to wind up in Indianapolis, working with a familiar.
I mean, I think Indianapolis is going to be a unit next season. Their defense is going to get even better. Their offense is going to get better. I think Carson Wentz, he played bad this season, but I think he's going to come back next season. You know, Pittman's going to get better. Jonathan Taylor, I feel like he's going to get more opportunities. Hines is going to get more opportunities. That offensive line is great. Carson Wentz can actually move out of the pocket, which will be useful.
In the end, but they felt like Carson Wentz was a natural fit in their offense on that team with that particular organization, and now we'll see how that works out.
And once again, the Frank Reich angle is absolutely huge, the familiarity for both sides.
So that's pretty much it for the trade. He's just going to talk about, like, Jalen Hurts, but pretty much I think what's going to happen is the Eagles are going to go with Jalen Hurts. Yeah, they may bring in like a backup quarterback who has the potential to play like starting quarterback. But I don't think they're gonna trade Jalen Hurts at all, or not trade Jalen Hurts. I don't think they're gonna bring that competition in. Like, they're not gonna bring in a quarterback thinking that this dude could start. Like, they're bringing him in as like a backup quarterback who can mentor Jalen Hurts. But if it comes to it, he can start. But like, it's not like I want him to start at one point. No, it's not like that. So I think Jalen Hurts, he's actually a very good quarterback. He just needs some receivers. At this point, the Eagles have like pretty much nobody's at receivers. Alshon Jeffrey is like way too old and he just way past his prime. I think honestly, just getting rid of him, dropping that contract off, will be really nice for them. Jalen Reagor, let's see how he develops. Probably the worst pick you could possibly make in that huge wide receiving class. The worst pick you can make. But honestly, you can't do anything about that. I think this season, this draft, you could prove it to again. Like Howie Roseman, bro, this draft could be a killer for you, or it could be a great one for you. Because if I feel like if the Eagles can get a wide receiver in the first round, they'll be good. That'll be good. If they don't, I'm gonna be. I don't know what to expect from the Eagles because Howie Roseman's not a great GM, but I think they're going to have to get like either a Devontae Smith or a Jamar Chase. Jalen Waddle is like worst case scenario. Not saying that Jalen Waddle isn't good, but I mean Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase are on a different level. So honestly, I do think that right now the Eagles need to pick those guys up. I don't think they're even going to go down to Jalen Waddle. They have like the 8th pick in the draft. So I personally think the Eagles, this was a good deal for them. They got probably another first. I think they're going to get another first because the condition was Carson Wentz needs to play 75% of the games, and the Colts need to make the playoffs in order for the Eagles to get that first round pick. And I do think that's probably going to happen unless if some tragic injury happens. But I think probably Carson Wentz will play 75% of the games and they will make the playoffs. So I think honestly the Eagles probably got that first. Realistically, think about this as a first and a third round pick. Personally, third round picks are super valuable. I think they're very underrated. I like this draft class. I think it has quite a bit of depth to it. And yeah, let's see what the Eagles do with it. I personally think if the Eagles get like I think they just need a wide receiver really bad, and they'll look a lot better if they have like some receiving threats. And then Miles Sanders, they got Miles Sanders in backfield. Possibly a better offensive line would also always help. But for the Colts, I think the Colts just benefited hugely from this trade. Well, let's see what Carson Wentz can do when it comes to this season. Because obviously last season he was very impressive. But if he can play well going into this season, I mean, you got a pretty scary team right now. You got Carson Wentz at quarterback, and I'm not saying return back to MVP Carson Wentz, MVP contender Carson Wentz, but return back to like somewhat of a Carson Wentz that we saw back in 2017. So you got Carson Wentz. You got, I think, Jonathan Taylor, who's going to be a great running back. He proved himself a lot at the end of the season. Very beneficial for my fantasy team. But that's besides the point. You got Michael Pittman, who I think is going to develop a lot too. I thought he was like one of the best pickups in the second round that he could possibly be. I thought he was kind of like a steal. He didn't do much this season, but I think he's a great player. And then T.Y. Hilton, I don't know about him. I'd say definitely keep him, but look at possible places where he could go because I honestly think T.Y. Hilton is past his prime. and I don't know how many years he has left where he's going to be playing at a high level, so I definitely wouldn't depend on him to do much. And then you also got the Molly Cox dude, who's pretty good, and the offensive line is already amazing. And then the defensive line is good. I think you got Buckner, if I'm not mistaken, and then you got Darius Leonard. I think they picked up Xavier Rhodes, if I'm not mistaken. Xavier Rhodes isn't that great anymore, but Blackman. So I honestly think this team has so much potential, and they also manage their cap space so well over the last decade, so that they've been able to get $70 million cap freed up this season. That means they have plenty of money to spend on a huge free agent. Obviously they got Carson Wentz, so they're not gonna get Deshaun Watson. But I feel like they could easily get a good. I feel like they could use I feel like they could use someone like Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay would be a great player for them. Or a subtle wide receiver, sort of like Curtis Samuel. Kenny Galladay's not subtle, but Kenny Galladay would be good. Even if you go down to Marvin Jones, I feel like that would be good too. But then Juju, I don't know. I know Juju brings more to the table, a lot of negatives, but I feel like he's a pretty good receiver still. And then the defense is obviously really solid. I feel like they could use secondary, a little bit of secondary. But overall, this team is very complete. Last season, the only reason they didn't go further than they did, which they almost beat the Bills, by the way, is because of Phillip Rivers. I'm not saying that Phillip Rivers is bad, but it's just when you have a quarterback nowadays that can't even move out of the pocket, you're not going to be very successful. And Phillip Rivers isn't what he used to be. He's not very good anymore. So you can't expect him to take this team very far. And that's why I feel like Carson Wentz would be a much better pickup for them. I was actually expecting the Colts to pick up someone else. I don't know. I feel like I honestly thought they were going to go into the draft and try to pick someone else because they got a first round pick. So I honestly feel like there's going to be Mac Jones is going to drop really low. Mac Jones is a quarterback who I think a lot of people should be looking at as a good prospect because I think Mac Jones is going to be better than a lot of people are saying. I honestly think he's going to be better than Justin Fields or the one dude at BYU was what's his name? I forgot. But the one guy at BYU, I feel like he's honestly going to be better than both of them. So because Mac Jones is really good. I don't know why he's predicted to go so low. And then I feel like all these Alabama guys try to pick them up because they're amazing. So pretty much that's what I think about this trade. Overall, a lot of people were saying that oh my God, the Eagles lost this trade big time. They got pretty much nothing, a bag of chips for Carson Wentz. I honestly think they got way more than that. You get a first pretty much for 2023. For 2022, and then you get a third this season. So I honestly don't think that's too bad. While I do think the Eagles could have probably gotten a little bit more value out of Carson Wentz if they had waited a little bit longer. They could have, but you can't do anything about that right now. I honestly think they got pretty good value out of him considering how badly he played this season and the position that he was in. He literally requested a trade. And he was literally benched. So, I'd imagine teams would just be I'm not giving you literally, I'm really not going to give you anything for Carson Wentz. But I feel like this is a pretty good trade package. I think both teams, this is the definition, in my opinion, of a win-win situation for both teams. The Eagles freed up a little bit of contract space, obviously a lot of dead contract space this season, but again, the tax you don't have. Plus, next season it frees up a lot of space too. And the Colts get a good quarterback who they can depend on come playoff time. So it's honestly a win-win for both of them. And I feel like a lot of these people will change their minds once they see if those, because when I think of a draft pick, I don't think of a player. I always think of just a draft pick is just an object that has some sort of value. It's not. It's an actual player. It's a player that can help you. Because when you first see a draft pick, when you see the draft pick, that it doesn't equate to a player at that given moment. So you never think it's much, but actually it will equate to a player who's actually pretty good. So that's why I think these draft picks actually are really useful. And I feel like a lot of people see oh, you just got some draft picks back for Carson Wentz. That's trash. But who knows what these guys will turn into? They could turn into superstars. Obviously you're taking that with everyone, but I feel like honestly I'd give the Howie Roseman a little bit more credit than what I feel like a lot of people will give him. So personally, that's what I think about it. I think it's a win-win situation. The Colts get a good quarterback, and the Eagles free up some cap space. Comment down below what you guys think about this trade, and where do you guys think that these other quarterbacks are going to go? Like, for example, like Deshaun Watson. Where do you guys think they're going to go? Because both the first and second pick from 2017 are now on different teams in the same offseason, which is kind of crazy. So comment that down below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. That's going to be it. Peace.